News has broken this evening of the passing of comic book icon Maestro. There are very few words that are worthy of describing him. Stan Lee has passed away. I want to read a little bit from the Marvel website, and I will end with a quote from Stan Lee. But it's very sad news. Let's be honest, there are very few, and I'm doing this on my laptop, so it's not going to look great. I just wanted a quick setup. I don't want to figure out and try and reorganize the tripod and camcorder and so forth. I've got all about the place for organizing for something. But Stan Lee, let's be honest, there are very few people who come along, maybe once in a generation, or maybe several generations, that people come along and revolutionise. And that word is overused, but there are some people come along very few times that come along and revolutionise an industry, make it better, or basically reshape that entire industry. I know that people say, "Oh, that's what revolutionise means," but I mean completely change that industry. And Stanley and Jack Kirby and many others. I'm not minimising any other artist writer's contribution because there are many great ones out there. I'm not really a huge comic book fan, so I don't know. I know there's been several great Scottish ones and other American ones and whatever. But Stanley was certainly one of those guys that revolutionised and completely changed the comic book world. If you want to listen more, and this is not an advertisement, it's not a plug, it's just me mentioning it because I genuinely enjoyed it. But if you go on iTunes or where we get podcasts, search for Business Wars. Um, Business Wars is a podcast that does mini series looking at different industries. So, for example, they did ones looking at Coca Cola versus Pepsi, Napster versus the record labels, and a series that I really really enjoyed was Marvel versus DC. I'm not a really huge comic book fan and not a comic book historian. I don't know what happened here, but it tells the story really from Stanley joining Marvel. I think it was way back in the 1930s. To I think it leaves off at like something like the end of 2017. Around about the time I think when the Justice League film was released, I think, something like that. Anyway, but it really tells the story. Includes Jack Kirby jumping ship and so forth. It's a really good series. If you want to go back, if you want to go and listen to it, just you go ahead. I genuinely enjoyed it, so it's not an advertisement, a paid advertisement, or a plug or anything like that. It's something I genuinely enjoyed, and it's kind of appropriate for talking about in this video. So, Stanley, yeah, he genuinely revolutionised the comic book industry from really at that point, from what I understand from that series, podcast series, with like 5 to 8 year olds, and he obviously, I'm not going to need to sit here and there's even an additional several pages on Wikipedia of characters that Stan Lee created, not just like the X Men, Spider Man. They're all individually, thing. You go on Stanley's um, Wikipedia page and you'll get the link there. But I mean, he generally changed not just the comic book world. Obviously, like I was saying there about the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's been what 10? I think it's something like 10 years of Marvel movies now, 10, 15 years or so. In total, there's lots of featurettes on the different Marvel DVDs, Blu-rays that have been released recently. Obviously the things like Infinity Wars, that talk about all of that things and different things. So he's also influenced that the film industry. There's music industry with the soundtrack albums that lots of artists are begging and jumping in to try and get their tracks included in them, and even video games. I've got Spider-Man on the PS4 right now, which has it's been paused for a long time because I've tried to do so many different versions of this video that not really work. So hopefully I've corrected the problem now. But even video games now, there's so many superhero video games and different merchandise. I mean, look at like Funko, the Making of Fun documentary. They've licensed lots of characters, and so his legacy will be an immense legacy that he left behind. It just tremendous amount of legacy. Tremendous contribution to the world. Said I wanted to quickly read a little bit from what Marvel says. This is from Marvel.com /remembering_Stan_Lee. You can get it right at the front page. If it says click read more. It says today Marvel Comics and the Walt Disney Company pause and reflect with great sadness on the passing of Marvel Chairman Emeritus Stan Lee. With a heavy heart, we share our deepest condolences with his daughter and brother, and we honor and remember the creator, voice, and champion of Marvel. Stan Lee was extraordinary as the characters he created, a superhero in his own right to Marvel fans around the world. Stan had the power to inspire, to entertain, and to connect. The scale of his imagination was only exceeded by the size of his heart. That After champion of Marvel, that all that comes from Bob Iger, chairman and CEO of the Walt Disney Company. And there's a lot bit about it, about how I'm not going to read all of it, because it would take quite a bit. And everybody can go to the Marvel um, website themselves and read it. But yeah, it just it reads. And I would just actually positive luminaries like Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, Don Heck, Dean Collin, John Romita. So many great creations, influencing. Like I said, it's just a very very sad, obviously, loss. Like so, there are these people that revolutionised industries like that, and like I said, it's not just comic book industry. Uh, you- the whole society, even to things like The Big Bang Theory, which is obviously one of the most popular sitcoms right now, which is unfortunately uh, right in the middle of its last ever season or series. Um, it's even the comic book conventions and cosplaying, and even recently at Halloween, you see so many people dressing up as superheroes or comic book characters and everything like that. It's just he was one of the ones that were definitely launched the whole revolutionary kind of Marvel universe, and it's obviously even though DC was there already, it's completely changed the whole. I would say, and I'm from Dundee, Scotland. Even companies like DC Thompson, who produced like the Beano, the Dandy, even obviously they have been influenced heavily, and I think Stanley may have been caricatured in one or two of the editions of both. But even down to comics like that who are not superhero comics of the kind of comic superhero kind of slant with some of the characters. Even those kind of comic books have obviously been influenced by the likes of Stan Lee. Yeah, so I'm very, very sad, and I don't want to make this video too long and babble on a long time. And I know some people won't really like this video, but I couldn't let um this pass without marking it. Very sadly. Um, yeah, it's just I said Stanley was one of those guys who there's very few. Um, Yeah, and that's one of the things. Before I go into this, before I end with this quote from Stan Lee, that's on the Marvel website. One of the great things about the Marvel films was his cameos in those films. Now, sometimes you kind of miss them. Sometimes you're so into the movie you miss them, and you had to go back and think, "Hang on, did Stan Lee appear?" And you had to rewind or look on Google or Twitter or YouTube or something for when does Stan Lee appear in this film? What timer do you have to go to in the movie to see Stan Lee? Some of them were quite quick. Some of them, like I think he spoke to Toby Maguire, and then there's others where it just, and I think another Spider-Man film, Spider-Man just swings past him, and it's very quick. With Stan Lee just kind of sitting there reading a newspaper and just looks around, and it's very very quick. So if you really weren't paying huge attention and looking for him, you might have missed him. Uh, I don't know when the final cameo is going to be. I don't know what last one he taked or which one, whatever they're going to put it together. I don't know when the last one will be, but those films are certainly going to be very. It's going to be very sad not to see those cameos in the film. It's always something fun, even if they said you don't instantly um, realise it's happened, you have to go back and look at it. It's something that's really fun and enjoyable to look out for. It's been a huge part of the full 10 years of the Marvel movies. So I want to end. I don't want to make this video too long. It's going to take a long time to upload anyway. So I just want to end with this quote from Stan himself, saying, "I used to be embarrassed because I was just a comic book writer, while other people were building bridges or going on to medical careers. And then I began to realize entertainment is one of the most important things in people's lives. Without it, they might go off the deep end. I feel that if you're able to entertain, you're doing a good thing."